Hello again, YouTube! This is Dr. Kendo. I'm here with Scribblenauts Unlimited. This is the Object Editor commentaries I play on the Wii U. As I've said many a time, we're gonna start off with a bodybuilder. I've been starting off with this a lot, I feel like, but this is actually kind of the perfect source object, I would say, for today's most popular object request. We're gonna be creating Captain Falcon today. Everybody loves that guy, as was evidenced by it being the most popular vote. That's the way that my requesting system works, is basically on this episode and this episode only. You can leave your comments and votes, and basically, whichever object, request, or suggestion, idea gets the most comments, upvotes, interactions overall will clearly be the most popular vote and will be what gets created next in this series. Now, you saw that I've taken an airman as the head and painted the helmet part red, but then that paints the little glass visor part red as well. So then I've just covered up that glass visor-ish part with dots. It's not really the visor, I guess it's just the glass over the eyes. So I used about 3 dots to get that. You can just basically cover up the space in as few or as many dots as you really feel like you need. And then I've used fin. If you just type in F-I-N and use the organic fin, that's what I used for the eyes. We placed a nose down right underneath those. And look at this arm. We're actually going to use 2 different arms for Captain Falcon because on one of his shoulders, he actually has a armor or plate of some kind, or basically some sort of ornamentation that's not on the other arm. So I actually used the arm of Don Quixote, which is cool to me because I actually did a theater show back in the day that just used voices, and I was in Don Quixote as the main bad guy and a few other things. I've probably told that story just a few times on this channel, but in very hard to find places. So yes, then we used Bubbles as the other arm. Bubbles is one of Maxwell's brothers. No, not the Powerpuff Girl, of course. And I'm gonna put a glove here for the Don Quixote arm. I'm not sure if we're gonna take that glove or not. It's just that Captain Falcon does have yellow gloves, and he has an orangish brown part right before the gloves on his arm. And we're using one of Maxwell's other brothers named Buzz for the legs. Now, I chose Buzz just because he's got some larger shoes than the other brothers of Maxwell's, and really anytime I can use the arms or legs of Maxwell's brothers, it usually ends up good. I really like, you know, kind of how their design is. We've used the letter I for the belt. We've used a sash for that part that's coming down over his shoulder and down underneath his armpit, and felt for the scarf-esque part of it. Maybe I'll show you a little bit later what it looks like when you actually use scarf, but it doesn't fit right. The scarf has a piece of it hanging down that doesn't really work for this design that we need. We've also got a holster because Captain Falcon apparently has a gun or a knife or something holstered there at his legs. We're gonna also use pieces of an eagle. You just type in eagle and put that on his helmet, as well as just wing, the generic wing for the 2 wings. This makes his Falcon emblem that's on his helmet. We'll go ahead and name him Captain Falcon before I forget. And it looks like it is coming together pretty nicely. So let's go move on to the fun facts. I like to read background information or fun facts basically about every character that we are creating in this series. It's just something nice for you guys to enjoy, maybe learn something that you didn't know, hopefully. Anyway, Captain Falcon first appeared in the game F-Zero on the Super NES in 1990 and is also a mascot of sorts for the franchise. As we all know, he represents the F-Zero franchise as a well-known character in the Super Smash Bros. Series since he's appeared in every one of the Smash Bros. Games, and with his beloved Falcon Punch move every time. In the F-Zero games, however, he's a bit of a mystery character, but we do know that he's actually a bounty hunter who is one of the best racers out on the circuit. There was even a game that deviated and wrote his part differently to grow even more of a backstory. It was F-Zero GP Legend on Game Boy Advance, where Captain Falcon was actually using the name Bart Lemming as he owned and operated his bar in Mute City. Apparently, it's mentioned in that game that the title of Captain Falcon is not exclusive to this character, but rather is a title that is passed down to any racer who's the best in the world. The mystery of Captain Falcon continues with more rumors or backstories being told in the game F-Zero X, as people believe he's called Captain for his time serving as an officer in the Internova police force. You can actually read on his wiki page that Captain Falcon is so successful as a bounty hunter, and that because his work is so dangerous, he prefers solitary solitude, to the point that he'll run off with trophies immediately after he's won a race and just dash off. Apparently, he retreats to some islands where he even has racetracks set up, so that even during his reclusive downtime, he can still hone his racing skills. Overall, I'd say he's been very well received, as you can easily find a quote of a journalist talking about how hardcore he is, or how epic his moves are in Smash Brothers, etc, etc. But yes, to test him out, and some of the scripting, I'm having him battle a Hitmonlee that I created. There it was! There's the scripting. I have him basically shooting out a red fiery phoenix, and it looks like I'm gonna need to see if I can get a way to turn it around, because right now it's his back. I want it to basically be going forward instead of backwards like that, like the back of the phoenix is going into whatever character it's projectiling to. So let's see if maybe we can just add like a sideways or horizontal. No, okay, not sideways. So we're gonna have to delete that and go for horizontal instead. So let me type that in. So it's a small, fiery, horizontal red phoenix moving at the speed 4, I believe, is what I put the speed at, and ignore gravity. Here's what I was gonna show you actually before I forget, was the scarf. See, that's what the scarf looks like, with a piece of it dangling, and it's also striped. So, you know, this didn't really fit well to go as the part that's underneath his chin, so I liked the felt being there better. You could use probably several shapes like lint or the napkin, which I've done with like Goku or the Sonic Boom character. You know, those various characters I've done that have some kind of scarf or bandana or something. You could try a bandana, but it's got the ties on the end of it, and so it probably actually would not go how it should. Let's test Captain Falcon against this giant, huge monster. Why not? This is the monster I created that was, it was for one of the subscriber specials, and it was basically called Huge Powerful Monster, and it's supposed to attack mice and rodents, but I think it's actually going to be too powerful for Captain Falcon, so I'm going to take it aside right now and just put in an evil villain. I've done this a lot lately, but yes, there we go. So let's test out the projectile, and it looks like it's working great. It's facing the correct way. You know, I just did horizontal, and for some reason that moved it the perfect direction that I wanted it to go in, so looks like he's doing a Falcon Punch! Oh, and if you see what happened there is he actually lost a little bit of health right before the villain died, and so then he did a projectile, which was the phoenix, and it hit the ground, I think, and kind of turned into mush and was still on fire, and there was little phoenixes, and so the fire was actually hurting him, making him still lose health, and he was still using the projectile because the script has it so that basically whenever he loses or gains health, he's gonna shoot out that projectile after 180 frames. So anyway, I'm glad that this turned out pretty good. If you guys want to request something, just remember that if your request doesn't get done, it's not me to blame or anything. It's the system is basically on a top comment or top voting requesting system. So only requests on this video will be counted for this week. It'll take about 3 or 4 days for me to see which character is the most popular and give the most amount of people a chance to vote on the character that they would like. Whichever one has the most comments, upvotes, interactions, anything like that will be the winner. So remember, gaming related, movie related, or nerd and geek culture related, excluding YouTubers. I will not make other YouTubers. And just request one object at a time, not like 10 all at once. Thank you so much. You guys have been giving some great support. It's a great time to be a member of Kendopolis. And as always, I will catch you on the next vid. And thanks for viewing. They're like a spectacle, so you can be the viewer and
down the road of twist.